Okay, very nice.
Yes, I added.
I played
many notes.
yesterday the Pavan. It was first time because now I just learned it. I wanted to play it in concert, but finally I didn't. I wasn't brave enough. I mean, I can play it at home in front of friends, but not for concert yet.
I want to play for you the first and maybe the second movement.
You decide.
First is
You know
very
when
long.
we start? I have a good time to go to the bathroom or not?
Yeah.
Did you start yet? No.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. It's yet online?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great beginning.
Sorry, it's Judicael. I need a foot rest.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Where do you live?
Best in Milan.
In Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you finished your study.
Yes.
Yeah. And where you were? I asked you last time, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Where did you study before?
In Milan.
Ah,
In
okay.
the conservatory.
Ah, you do this stuff also.
Oh yes. Very
Yeah,
useful.
that's smart. Okay. So, Jose Sonata. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going first to ask you some question. You played this piece for how long, more or less?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have a very simple question. Actually, I mean, we talked very briefly about that before. Why you use this version? I mean, you do a mix.
Yeah.
But why not just playing the manuscript? What is the reason to don't play the manuscript?
Okay. In first place, I read on this kind of pagination of this page. Okay,
Yeah.
and I prefer to put some notes from the manuscript here, and
Yeah,
so,
I understand that, but I don't understand so much. I mean, it's kind of. I don't understand so much why not taking the manuscript, and if there's some stuff you don't like changing with your own things. I mean, because when it's Ponce, blah, blah, it makes sense. You use Segovia because it was done with it, but in this case, it was not done for Gilardino or whatever, or is Naola. So why not just take playing the manuscript?
Okay.
I mean, in terms of logic, no?
Yes.
Because I mean, I mean, for very good player like you and professional player, let's say, concert player, I would think that you should just take the manuscript, and if you want to use Gilardino or Isnaola, you just do like this, but it's more logical to do from the manuscript
Okay.
than to take this.
Yes, it's true.
And you should do that, really.
Yeah.
So from this, there's two possibilities. Or I mean, if we do a masterclass, I know the manuscript, I know this version, but I know I play the manuscript. I could tell you, on the manuscript there is this. I don't tell you that. You just, if you want to do it, you do it.
Okay.
But you should do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
believe me,
Okay.
even for me, it was more difficult to do that in some pieces because I'm much older than you, and there's some pieces that I learned before they were in the manuscript.
Okay.
You know, like Ponce, blah blah.
Yeah.
And when I had the manuscript, I just relearned the piece, really. And it's more difficult for me than for you because I'm much older. It's more difficult to change your habit.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Second thing is this piece. So I guess the first famous player who played that, who recorded that, was Brim, one of the first who recorded that. And of course, there were some other players who started to play that in the 90s. Before the 90s, nobody was playing that. I think it was published in 90.
90. Yeah.
90. Before, nobody was playing that, and after that, they were the first player. I remember Pablo Marquez was playing that quite from the beginning, and Brim did a recording and made it very famous, you know, among the guitarists. Now I have many questions because let's say that this is the manuscript, okay? For example, you have a lot of you do a lot of things that I heard many times on this piece, and I don't really understand why. For example, the B theme, you just totally change the tempo. And why doing this? I mean, really, it's not written like this. I'm really sure if the guy wants another tempo, just put. If you see the manuscript, it's very well written. It's written very professionally.
No, in this performance, it was too much.
It was too much, but
I really love to play this theme a little slowly.
Little, I understand.
Little.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Yeah, I would say that the B theme could be the same tempo than the first one, but more relaxed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you totally change the tempo. And because you change the tempo, you need to do an accelerando. You need to change all the time tempo because the slow tempo works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Okay.
And the problem is, you know, all the pieces, they have a natural tendency when they are overplayed to go in one direction or another direction. So let's say, for example, study number 12, it's all the time a little bit faster. Some other pieces like Takemitsu will be all the time a little bit more slow, and this piece is B theme all the time more slow than A theme. That's the natural tendency. And because I'm teaching, I have to teach the reality, not the general tendency. And you, as a player, as a professional player, as a concert player like me, I think we should really try to don't go necessarily in what we hear. I mean, I know you don't copy, but you hear. I hear. Everybody hear. Okay. So it's very difficult to don't think like this. So in fact, the B theme should be more or less at the same tempo than the first. First thing.
Okay.
Second thing, allegro moderato. So, can you restart the beginning?
Yeah.
this tempo?
It's 75.
Yeah, no,
maybe.
I call, not the
Cool.
speed. The speed I don't care.
Oh, it's not allegro. It's not allegro.
Yeah, it's moderato,
yes.
something like this.
Maybe
no?
andante.
No, it's not allegro. Moderato.
Yeah.
Can you try to play allegro moderato? So a very slow allegro, let's say.
Yeah.
Can you try to play? So I don't care about the speed. That's not important. The most important is allegro moderato.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Let's try to play allegro moderato. Now it looks, maybe it's allegro moderato for that, but it looks more fast.
Mm-hmm.
So try to find something that looks allegro moderato. You know, allegro moderato, it's much more interesting than 70, 90, because 90, 70, it's like this. Allegro moderato, it's an interpretation.
Yeah.
So of course, an allegro moderato on the flute is not the same than on the guitar. In the big hole, is not the same in small hole. I mean, it's something that you can change.
Yeah.
When you do pita da da da, if you do like this, maybe it's allegro moderato, but it doesn't look like allegro moderato.
Yeah.
So just try to show me something that if somebody listen, he would say this is allegro moderato without thinking of the tempo. Okay, so it could be kind of allegro moderato.
Okay.
Why not playing this tempo? That's the real question, because the guy wrote allegro moderato.
Yeah. I think for the B theme.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For the?
For the B theme.
But why this wouldn't work? Di da 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 di da 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 di. I mean, I just ask you questions, and of course after that you need to deal with that. But the thing is, it totally works. I mean, you can dislike or say, okay, I don't want to do that, but it's possible. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you have some tempo, for example, Walton bagatelles, the number 3, it's written like this. On the guitar, you're just dead if you play like this. It's too slow. But this, so if you do and B theme, just slightly more slow.
Okay.
And it totally works.
Okay.
And I tell you why it's quite nice, because if you do that, if you play the B theme slow, like most of the people do, here it becomes impossible to beat. It's too long. They become too long. So people have a tendency to go faster here, and after that they go more slow, and after that they go again fast. And on the last part, on the allegro, the last movement, when you have the repeat of the first movement, it looks very slow. I mean, everything becomes like this, and the duration of the first movement becomes much longer, and you change all the thing.
Okay.
And my feeling is if you never heard the piece before, you just had the score. You should think what you would have done if you had the manuscript and never heard anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you wouldn't have played like this.
Yeah.
And last thing, if José was a very famous composer who write very precisely, which is his case, imagine this is, I don't know, Ravel, okay? Mm-hmm. Ravel wrote for the guitar one piece. He wrote all this information. He knows the guitar. You would stick much more on the score.
Yeah. Because
this is Ravel, because... And because this is José, because there is this tradition, you don't really stick on the score so much. But really, if you consider it's a great piece, I consider it's one of the very good pieces for the guitar. I consider that José wrote extremely precisely, extremely nicely, you should really stick on the score. And of course, without being fanatic, without doing no interpretation, but just the same kind of respect you would do if you had the sonatine by Ravel.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you think like this, you take the manuscript, you work like this, it will open a lot of new doors in terms of interpretation. Mm-hmm. And I think this is what you should do. And when I have a very good player like you, I don't really want to, because everything I will tell you will be linked with that. I will tell you, but this is not the tempo, this is not that, and it's not an interesting job. I would like you to play the score, and after that we can talk and react about personal interpretation or what I think. But now what I will tell you will be all the time about the score.
Okay.
And you know how to read the score. You know how to play a score. You just decide for some reason to play this. So really try to think like this.
Okay.
Okay? So I don't really know exactly what to do. We could do another movement.
Okay.
You want to do another one? Movement?
The second.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah. Because on the first movement, it will be my advice. If you were, I don't know, for some reason, my student or whatever, I would tell you, take the manuscript, just work on the manuscript. And I'm not stupid. It means that if you think that something it's not possible, it doesn't work on the guitar, you shouldn't do it. I don't think you should do some stuff, but you should try first. And I know it works. I was thinking it was working. I was pretty sure, but I never played the piece, so I wasn't sure. Now I play the piece, so I don't say I played the piece good. It's not the point. I know it's possible to play what is on the score exactly and play good. I don't say I play it good. Actually, I don't play it good now. I can tell you. But it's possible. And the piece is better.
Okay.
Okay? Let's see.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you understand? It's
yes, of
it's
course,
just really a mark of respect of what I don't want to take like this.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
Huh?
Of course. Yes, only two movements because in the concert of
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can see that. Very nice. I like it. The beginning, when you start, very staccato, it looks like a little bit a scherzo.
Okay.
So
Too much staccato, you mean?
too much scherzo style more than minuet. Let's say that you know the story. Minuet was first, and after that they did scherzo. Okay, and scherzo was much faster, much more nervous.
Yeah.
And at this period of the composition, like Ravel, they did some minuet. Ravel did some minuet.
Okay.
José also, as an homage of, you know, something from the past before the Romantic period, and like really old style minuet, not Baroque minuet, but classical minuet. So if you play pa 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 pa, it looks like more a scherzo, Beethoven scherzo. Okay. So let's try to make a minuet. Pam pa pam 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 yam pi da ti da ti da pam. Pa pa to pa re do si do ti pi fa mi re mi fa. You should keep the same articulation. Pam pia da di da. And this is a mistake. Please play something on the first beat.
So without the basses.
Yeah, you should play something on the first beat because it looks weird that you have nothing and yes. Okay, so you see, all this sonata has a link, obviously, with French music. Huh? Pavane, and you have to think that at this time, anyway, Ravel was very famous as a composer. So if somebody write a Pavane triste, it's impossible to write a Pavane triste without thinking of Ravel, Oiseau triste, Pavane pour une enfant défunte. It's impossible. Okay? It's like a 19th century composer who composed Hungarian Rhapsody. It's impossible they don't think about Liszt because they were 10 times more famous. So if you do that, you have to think about that. Okay, so this minuet style, it's typically this kind of pieces that were written by French composer as homage to, past composer, but even like Rameau. I mean, all these.
Okay. Okay.
From Rameau and classical period, and after that, romantic was more scarcer. Okay, so it's a kind of a taste of the past. So the Pavan, it's the taste of now.
Okay.
I mean, of 1930 when it was composed. But this is like homage to the past. So don't be afraid to play it kind of like retro style. Retro? Huh?
Yeah.
So
Understand.
let's try to be just like this. And after that, if you do something very light, if you think long term, so what is the end? So what is the end? Okay. 3 minutes off on the past. And directly new world.
Yeah.
A big change. Okay? Change of writing, of speed, but even more of period time. Okay? So make it a little bit, we could say now in French, but it's not what it means, ringard. When you do something old-fashioned, something too old-fashioned. So this is an old-fashioned piece.
Okay. Yeah.
But at the same time, homage of the new style of old-fashioned music done by French composer.
Okay.
So don't be afraid and try to play. It's a little bit like if you spend one day at your grandma's house, or so it's kind of boring somehow. You everything is slow, blah 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 blah. And after that you leave, and again you have your life, your fast life,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's spend 4 minutes with grandmam.
Grandma.
I mean, you are too young, so your grandmam is not very old.
Yeah.
But your grandmam, if you have. Okay. Stupid. Let's go. Guitar style at this period, you know. So it's like, and the big change is okay. So, finally, we say, we have an expression in French, we say renverser la table, the table. I don't know if you say that.
Yeah.
Same, we have the same. So it's a little bit this.
Okay.
And, okay, let's go. Yeah. Yes. So and back, okay,
Okay.
and back exactly, exactly
Okay.
the same way, and it could be a little bit boring, but it's okay because
Mhm.
after that it's going to be the opposite. So it's possible
Okay.
to get bored a little bit, not you, but when you listen, you create something.
Yes,
You
yes,
play
yes,
a
yes,
full
yes.
sonata.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything makes sense depending of what you do. Of
Yeah.
course, if people are bored in the full movement, it's difficult.
Mhm.
But if there is, let's say not bored, but they wait for the end of the day.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. Okay. So here there is a real question: how did you manage to decide to play this version more than another one?
I played the manuscript, the same notes.
But actually, no. On the manuscript, there is two possibilities. You see, on the manuscript, it's not clear what you have
Yeah,
to play.
yeah.
I can't describe, but
Mhm.
it's not very clear what
Yeah.
he wrote.
Okay.
He wrote. Rivers of the sea, river. You don't know if it's
Yeah. Mhm.
so. And sorry. Actually, it makes a little bit more sense.
Mhm.
It's written on the manuscript. It's written flat,
Okay.
but it's not very clear if he delayed or not.
Okay.
And let's say that 20 years ago, everybody was playing this,
Me. Mhm. Okay.
and now everybody's playing that. So it doesn't mean that now it's good and before it was not good.
Mhm.
But you should really consider again. I don't tell you. Me, I choose that. It doesn't mean
Okay.
that I'm right.
Okay.
You should really look carefully
For this.
and
Okay.
listen.
Okay.
So if you do. It looks kind of more logical than this, I think.
Okay.
Because you have that, you are in this tonality, so.
Mhm.
And look. You should really think.
Can you tell me the notes of this bar?
So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 Fantastic. And this
And
one? Okay. Okay. Mhm.
look on the manuscript. You will
Mhm.
see it's not clear at all because there's two versions written and you don't know which one you decide.
Okay.
Not for sure.
Okay.
So it means that we have to decide.
Mhm.
And to decide, I guess, I decide because I think what I decide is good. But,
Okay.
you should really think about
Mhm.
it. Okay?
Okay.
So
Okay, fantastic.
that's really. So, this piece, and the proportion, it's quite important. The longer movement is the third. It's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But in terms of proportion, the first movement is maybe 6 minutes. This is 3 minutes. The number 3 is like 5-6 minutes. The last is like 4 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to be careful also on the first movement. If you start with a kind of andantino like you did,
Mhm.
it's a weird thing, andantino, to start the first movement. Really. Andantino moderato, it's more like da 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 da. Okay? And so you have. And now. And after that, you do the harmonics.
Yeah.
It's possible.
options for
Yes.
this part.
It's kind of
Yeah.
arguable because
I don't know.
harmonic
I don't
it's really not the same
Yeah.
than not harmonic.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
even if the high, when you want, yeah. I think it works better because you can work on the sound.
Yeah.
It's easier without the harmony, but you are good enough, of course, to don't do that. My advice also about how to make it easier, I would do that when it's really not possible to do it technically. So if you can't do it technically, of course you need to change. All the time I say that to myself, when you can't do it technically, of course you need to change. If there is like 20 passages you can't do technically, don't play the piece. But if there is 2 or 3 passages, of course, change it. You have to make it playable. But in this piece, in fact, most of the things are pretty playable. You have a everything is playable, so you don't have to change also the chords. That's the same thing. You can do it. And by the way, this passage, sorry, it's a little bit messy. It's better to change here all the time on the chord, because if you don't change, you have a big space to catch this note.
Okay.
All the time the highest note. I show you quickly. This is something also I find finally it avoid to. I'm totally lost with this score. Yeah, you have, but I want to see the second one because the second one is the most difficult. It's not here. On the last page. Yeah, I think no, just before. So it's the page before this one. Sorry.
Oh, but I can remember.
Yeah, but I just wanted to show you the fingering. Which page is it? Was it? It must be this. No, one page is missing. It's here, I guess. Yeah, look. So the chain, when you are like, okay, you arrive here. It's better to change here than to change here. Most of the people, they change and they do this. So it takes a lot of time to catch it.
Okay.
And it's better to change. So you don't have to stop. You see?
Okay.
So you can do. Same. And I think this is not written by the composer. It's hard by the person to make it easier, but it's quite nice to have everything stick together so you can create a lot of tension. And you have the change here. So it's quite nice to have this big tension.
Okay.
And if you stop all the time, you kind of destroy this effect.
Okay.
I would trust a lot the score.
Okay.
There's so many composers who didn't write so properly for the guitar, or you don't have the manuscript, or it's a talk with Segovia, so you don't really know if you have to play the Segovia or the manuscript. At least we have something clean by somebody who is a good composer who knows how to play for the guitar. If there is one score we have to really stick and we can really trust, this is this score. Because even Takemitsu, there is Brim, there is so you don't really know what was at the beginning, except the folios. But the other, maybe Brim changed some stuff, maybe there are some wrong notes. Here, at least we are sure. We are sure you are a good player. You are a very good player, not good player, very good player. Play the score. Do you have some questions? Do you have some questions about things?
No, it's clear. It's clear, fantastic. And for the spatio in the score, it's enough. My version.
Despacio. So you need to just give your own interpretation of Despacio. So Despacio is not rallentando. Rallentando, there is a little bit some tension. Despacio is just.
It's another tempo.
Yeah, no, it doesn't mean that. I think, if I start to do a rallentando, it will be like this. If I do a despacio, it will be each time a little bit more slow without this tension of the rallentando.
Okay.
So instead of the da 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 ti da da. So you have ritenuto, okay? So can you play this? 2, 3, 4 da 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 ti da ya 2, 3, 4 and after this big guitar thing, kind of naive old fashioned. And third movement, so not too slow because it's 3/2, it's not 6/4. So it's 6/4, sorry, it's not like 8 beats. So si, re, sometimes we hear si, re, fa, yeah, it's a kind of combination of Oiseau Triste and Pavane pour une infante défunte, which were two very famous pieces by Ravel. But Oiseau Triste is from Miroir, and I think the first version, I don't know if it's the piano version or the orchestra version, but I prefer the piano version. Oiseau Triste from Miroir, you can listen. It looks like the same color. Listen, Oiseau, bird. Oiseau Triste. And Pavane pour une infante défunte, everybody knows. So if you combine this, you put that on the guitar, you have Pavane Triste. So big impressionist Ravel style. And the last movement is the most traditional guitar fast things, Spanish guitar with some, So if you do, if you do all this, you have really a great piece. Instead of having this kind of piece that we heard many times, that everybody bring play, and at the end it becomes a big, like everybody has put his idea, it loses kind of his specific character. Trust this piece, this guy, this composer.
Fantastic.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay,